All right. Hello, hello. Anybody here?
Hello, Professor.
Oh, Kash, how are you?
Doing good, thank you.
Okay, Anu, Ling, Arch. Hey, how's everyone today? Good? All right.
Hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello.
Okay, let's see what we got.
Progress.
Okay, where's Alex? Alex not here. Hey, Sam.
Hi.
Was Alex here today? Do you know?
Yeah, he was here. He said,
Okay.
told me he couldn't make the study session tomorrow, but he didn't say anything about today. He should come. He'll be here later, probably. A little bit later.
May, did you travel to California?
I pretend I travel here.
You pretend, right? Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like what's the name of that bridge, May? Do you know the name of that bridge? It starts with a G. It starts with a G.
Yeah, it starts G.
Isn't that's the Golden Gate, right, Sam?
Yeah.
Is that it?
I don't know. I don't know if that one
Yes.
is the Golden Gate Bridge. I don't know.
Yeah, that is Golden Gate Bridge, California.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, okay, let's continue where we stopped. So let's see, I think the next question, 1 second here, let me get this out of the way. All right, our next question should be, what question are we at now? I think
Sixth one.
number 6?
Yes.
I think we did number 6 already, right?
Did it?
No.
Okay, well, so let's go there. So number 6, which of the following are examples of interpreted languages? So let's see what interpreted languages are. Okay, so right here, if we go back up, let me see something here. Okay, let's stay with this. So let's go up a little bit here. So there are a few different types of languages, right? So we have, let's go up a little bit. Okay, so we have what is referred to as compiled languages. Where's my highlighter here? Compiled languages. Examples of compiled languages are Java and C++. So the definition, which is what we're concerned about, right, is right here. If a compiled programming language is one that requires the use of a compiler to translate it into machine code, that is, into something the computer can use, right? So Java or C++ is an example of such a compiler, right? Now, you might wonder, well, what is a compiler? So let's go up here and see That's what a compiler is. All right, so this simple definition here from Wikipedia, right here. In computing, a compiler is a computer program that translates computer code written in one programming language into another language, right? So that's what the compiler does, right? It's like a translator, kind of like what the driver does with the hard drive, I mean, with your mouse or keyboard and your computer, right? So a compiler is a computer program that translates computer code. So it's written in one language, it has to convert it or translate it into another language so that, you know, you can understand what it's doing, right? Also the machine or the computer can be able to run it. Okay? So an example, like we said, is Java. Java is written in a Java code, and it has to be compiled so that the computer can be able to read that program, right? So that's the kind of questions that you might get when you talk about compiled programming. Now so here is an example of Java code. On Monday we looked at HTML, some HTML code. Here's an example of Java code. Let me make this a little bit bigger here. All right, so right here, where is it? 1 second. All right, so here's an example of where is Java code, right here. Now, of course, you're not going to understand what the code is. I think Arch may understand because she's done Java, but you may not understand, and you don't have to understand it, right? Don't worry about understanding it. But when you look at the code, the exam expects you to kind of know what program or what kind of code it is. Not be able to understand the code, but oh, this code here looks like HTML or looks like Java or looks like something else, right? So when you look at Java code, right, you're always, now, let me say this. Java is not the same as JavaScript. But some people confuse both and think Java and JavaScript are exactly the same. Absolutely not, right? They are absolutely, the only common thing they have is the first 4 letters, Java and Java. But Java and JavaScript are totally different. They're all code, but very different. And you go see examples. So when you see Java code always starts with public class, right? You're going to see public class with Java. So the name of this Java program is Hello World. So public class Hello World, right? The name of this Java program is Hello World. So public class is just part of Java, like all the code that has to be included to run the program. But the name of this program is Hello World, right? So, so all this part here, these are all standard parts of most Java code, right? Even this part here, right? They're all part of Java code. And if you notice, you see this, these are called curly braces. This right here, this symbol, the symbol looks like this. Let me get this out of here. The symbol looks like this, right? They're called curly braces, or some people say brackets, curly brackets, right? Because of the curly nature. On your keyboard, if you hold down the Shift, and then the key, that key is next to the P key, right? You get that curly brace. It's next to the P key on your keyboard, like to the right of the P key. So you hold down Shift and right next to the P key. So you have two types of curly braces. The opening curly brace, if you notice, let me increase this here so you guys can see it properly. All right. Can you guys see it properly?
Yeah.
Okay. So you notice that these two are different, right? The first one is kind of points to the left. So this is the opening one, and the second one points to the right side. So it's part of a lot of programming languages. In fact, almost all programming languages, right? So that's included here. So basically, these parts that are highlighted in yellow, they are standard parts of Java. Now, this part here at the bottom that says system out print. Let me go there. It says, let me just get it again, system.out.print. Okay, or print line. Don't worry about understanding the whole thing. I just want to give you an idea of what it's doing here. So let me reduce this a little bit here. Okay. So what that line here is doing is saying, hello world. So this whole line is basically just printing hello world to this computer screen, right? That's what it's doing. So this whole program is just to print out. So when you run the program, you're going to see hello world. Or if you say, whatever it is, I love food, right? Which I'm sure it's everybody here, okay? So that is going to print out I love food to the screen. So when you see code like this, this is part of Java, okay? Now, you see this line here. Let me remove this part here. Let me remove this and take this out. Now, this line here, notice that this line, it starts with 2 slashes, right? It starts with 2 forward slashes. Now, every time you see a line of code that starts with slashes like that, and then you have something, some kind of comment in there, right? That basically is a comment, also known as pseudocode, right? Or some people call it fake code, right? Basically, that line there is like you're writing a note to yourself in the code, something you want to remember. It's not part of the code. When you run the code, it's not going to show up anywhere. But you write a note in the code or a comment so you can remember stuff, right? So it starts with this forward slashes. It's known as a pseudocode or pseudocode, right? And we're going to see it in the book right there. So if you see a question and they ask you, what does these two slashes, what are they for? They are used to write code in your, used to write comments in your code for things you want to remember about the code. So it doesn't show up when you run the code, okay? So that line there is a comment line. It says print hello world in the terminal window. Now, just to say this, Java on your computer, most times it's going to run, if you want to run Java, you're going to run Java in this window here, in the command prompt. That's where you run Java, in the command prompt, okay? That's what it means by terminal window. That command prompt, that's where you run Java code, okay? So when you see this, you got to be able to know that this programming language is Java because of all the bits and pieces of the code, okay? All right, let's move on. So Java is a compiled language. Now, the other language we have is, well, you have Java, you have some others, you have C++. Okay, the other language we have is interpreted languages, right? Now it says right here, this line. So when you're talking about interpreted languages, each line of code is read by an interpreter every time the program is executed. Compiled languages, compiled languages have to be compiled. Interpreted languages are not compiled. So an example of interpreted languages, and here's like the difference with the interpreter and the compiler. So examples are, let's see. Okay, here's an example here. HTML, right? HTML is an example of compiled languages that we also refer to as a markup language. A lot of technical things for you just to remember, but you know, it just demonstrates that you have a familiarity. You're kind of familiar with it. You don't have to be an expert, but we want you to be familiar with it. You know, when you see it, you know, oh, I've seen this before. Not like, I have never seen this before. This makes no sense. Just to be familiar with it, right? Okay, so actually, I think I went a bit too far. Right here it says there are 3 types of interpreted languages: markup, scripting, and scripted languages. So markup languages are languages like HTML. What else do we have? So like I think I showed us on Monday, HTML works with tags, right? And I pulled up an example. Let me pull up the example again. Let's see, I have a few examples here. Let me just go here. So when you deal with HTML, you're going to see things like this. Let me just make it simple. So, for example, if I want to say hello world. Now, if I print this out, if I run this, let me just show you what it looks like. This is HTML code. So if I run that, all you're going to see is hello world. Okay? It just looks so normal. But when you use, like the book says here, when you use tags, HTML use tags. When you use tags, there's a lot of stuff you can do. So here's an example. So here is my hello world. Now let's use some tags here and see what happens. If I want to make the word world, I want it to be bold, okay? I can just do this, put a bold tag. So right here you have your B tag. It has the less than symbol, less than, it has a B. Looks like that. Less than symbol, it has a B, and the greater than symbol. That's the first part. Then you write something in here, and then you close it with another tag. Now the closing tag has a /. So in this example, I'm using a B tag. Now see what happens when I run it. You see that the world becomes bold, right? The world. So I've added a tag to make something happen to that word. So this is HTML. There's a lot of stuff you can do. I mean, like a lot of stuff you can do with HTML. HTML is primarily used to build websites. Okay? If I want to make this hello italics, for example, I use the I tag, and I use the I tag, the closing I tag with the /. But if I run that, you're going to get, you see that the hello becomes italicized. I can add some more stuff to it. This is part of, you know, that chapter. Let's say, for example, I want hello to be in a different color. Okay? I can add some more code. So, for example, I'm going to add a paragraph tag, right? A P tag. So let me just put that here and close it here. So just try to explain to you what tags do. Now in here, I can add what we call attributes. attributes and properties. So an attribute called style and properties called like the color, right? So attributes and properties, it describes the character or the characteristics of something, right? For example, you can say, what are the attributes of a cell phone? Well, maybe it's slim or thin, you know, or you can talk about the color of the cell phone. You describe the attributes, right? You can talk, a person's attributes might be their height, their weight, you know, their complexion, things like that, right? So, well, let's see what happens when I run this one. So run this and see what happens there. So the hello becomes a different color, okay? So there's a lot of stuff you can do with tags, but just to mention that a little bit.
Can I ask
So
a question?
HTML, sure, go ahead.
How do you use the hexadecimal colors to change that color for a more specific one?
Okay, so instead of writing red, I can look for the color that I want. So remember what we did the other day? We went here, went to W3 schools. And so you go to W3 schools. We went there on Monday, right? And you look at their color picker. So if I know the color that that I need, let's say I need some kind of I don't know what color this is, but whatever color this is, here is the hexadecimal color. I can just copy this. Remember that hexadecimal colors are a combination of red, RGB, red, green, and blue. So I copy that there. I bring it to my code, and I take out the red and I put it right there in that spot. Now, when I run this, see what happens here. See that color there? It has become the color that we just chose right here. So hexadecimal colors, when you deal with HTML, or rather, the hexadecimal code can replace the color. Instead of putting a color like green, like the actual, primary color name, you can just use the hexadecimal to be more specific, like Alex just said. If I change this to whatever color this is, right? Same thing. I copy that. I put it right here. You get the same result. When I run that and I go up here, gives me that shade of color. So coding is very powerful. Coding does so much stuff, and I spend a lot of my time coding. All the time, I'm always coding. Okay. If you're good in coding, you get paid a lot of money, and you don't sleep. You work all the time, right? All right. So when you see HTML code, you should have an idea, when you see the tags, that this is HTML, okay? And that's what it says here. Generally speaking, all tags have a opening and closing tag, all right? Okay, let's move on. So we're talking about interpreted languages, right? Interpreted languages. Let's see another example of interpreted languages. Let's go down here. All right, so here are other examples. JavaScript, Visual Basic, PHP, Perl, Python, right? Okay, so let's look at another example here. This example we have here, this is an example of JavaScript. Now, how do you know it's JavaScript? Well, it's JavaScript. If I can make this, should I make it bigger? Can you guys see that? It's Java. Let me just copy this. Just going to copy this here. See if I can copy the whole thing. Let me see if I can run that. I'm just going to take this out. It didn't really copy, but I'm just going to type it here myself. And I'm going to run it so you guys see what JavaScript, like what it does. So JavaScript has a script, you start it with a script tag, like right here on line 6, okay? You start with a script tag, and then you have something like, let's do a pop-up that says hello world. So hello world. So this is JavaScript, even though we're using HTML tags. JavaScript works inside HTML. All right. Now, if I run this code, what's it going to do? Does anybody know what it's going to do if I run this code?
It will pop up and will say the message.
It's-
Hello world.
It's going to pop up something that says "Hello World." Now, see that? Let me just go back here. Now, look at that. It's a pop-up that says "Hello World." Okay, that's what it does. If I say "Hello World," I love learning, and if I do it twice, so I'm going to copy that line, paste it down here. I'm going to do one more time, paste, paste, paste. Right? If I run that again, go back here, run the page again. If I say okay, 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 okay. In fact, let me make this more interesting, right? So this is going to be hello. Just do something kind of interesting here. See that? Okay, so let's see what happens when we do that. Okay, so first time you see it, right? It says hello. You say okay, hello world, okay, hello world. I love learning. You see that? Do you guys see that? I like dealing with code all the time, right?
Yes.
It's like giving me toys when I'm dealing with code. I can do this all day. You guys will just get tired. Like, why are we doing all this code? Anyway, so let's keep going here. So that's JavaScript, and JavaScript is an interpreted language. So HTML, JavaScript, that's an example of interpreted languages.
You said
And
that
that's the example we just kind of.
JavaScript works inside HTML, right? Does
Yes,
it
it
work
does.
alone or only inside HTML?
Actually, JavaScript can work in a lot of languages. Once you just put your script tag right here and right here, right? You just put it in there, it's going to work. Because a lot of times, JavaScript it makes your HTML or whatever it is, it makes it more dynamic, right? So JavaScript helps to make helps to add some features, right? Helps to add some features to your HTML. So can it work alone? I don't think it can just work by itself. You need it. It's like, okay, Alex, can you eat salt just by itself? Like salt, like just like eating salt.
I don't think it's a good idea.
Exactly. But when you put salt in some, mix it with some ingredients to make food, it's like, whoa, fantastic, right? So I don't know if that was a good example, but maybe that's the idea. It doesn't really work by itself. You need it to enhance or to add some, dynamic features to your HTML code. So it works with HTML. In fact, JavaScript works with all these languages here. You can include JavaScript in PHP and some of the other languages. All right. So when you see it, you have an idea of, okay, that is JavaScript. And this is the example that we just did. Okay.
So but only on markup languages, is that right? Or you couldn't use it in a compiler, right?
No, it wouldn't work that's a good question. It wouldn't work in a compiler. It only works. In fact, if you look at it, you see that JavaScript itself it's like a markup, right? Because you have your tags. So I guess the common thing with interpreted languages are the tags. Like if you see, so that's JavaScript. I'm not sure we're seeing examples here of the other guys. 1 second. Yeah, so I think you're right there. it works with it's also a type of markup language because of the tags. Like right here, it says the script tag tells HTML. So Alex, back to your question. The script tag tells HTML that a script is coming. So when HTML sees that script, it knows that's Java. All right. So like I said, it's just to get some familiarity, right, with some of these languages, what they look like. When you see, you may not be able to write it, of course, but when you see it, then you kind of have an idea of, okay, this looks like JavaScript, and this looks like HTML. Okay. We're going to look at this one in a second, but let's see if we can figure out the answer now. So down here, question 6. Who was answering the question? Was it Arch?
Yes.
Question 6.
Which of the following are examples of interpreted languages? Script, C and D, scripted and markup.
Scripted and markup. Yeah, I think you're right about that. Yeah, so compiled is an example of what, Arch?
Compiled, I don't know, that is not a language, it's compiled language, I don't know.
No, so it's an example. Well, okay, it's not a compiled language, right? Remember what we said, you have interpreted languages, and what's the other one?
Compiled language.
Interpreted languages and compiled, exactly. So where is it? All right, so scripted and markup. So scripted, markup, HTML, JavaScript, those kind of languages. Okay. Number 7, what type of high-level programming language is translated into machine code once and executed many times? Right? Let's go back here. So look at it here. That's what we just talked about. It gave us that description here.
But Tayo, you got no sound.
We can't hear you.
Tayo, there's no sound.
Professor, we can't hear you.
Can you hear us?
Yeah.
I will have to.
Hear Alex, but can't hear Professor Banjo.
Yeah, he's
Okay. Just us. It's just us.
No,
Is he gone?
no, he's here only, but we can't hear you, Professor.
Yeah, so I think he, no, he's still there.
I sent a message also.
Me too.
No, no, still we can't hear
He's
you.
still talking.
Yeah.
Maybe he's asking how everything, but we can't hear you still.
What is going on here?
Maybe net is low,
Chat pin.
or check
He's still talking.
maybe your headset is not working.
It's not our headsets together.
Oh, then speaker and headset two are.
Say again.
He messaged us. He can't hear us also.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I think I got sick.
Yeah, he said he will log off and come back.
You have no sound, Tyler, no sound. So